What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. I want to talk a little bit more about Drift Week and kind of dive into the details about what it took, what it cost, and my overall thoughts on it. Kind of like a little recap and review. Before we do that, I gotta wash this thing. The Z is still filthy. I have not had a chance to wash it since being home. So we're gonna pull it out, get this thing washed up. Gotta get it looking good. I'm actually gonna get the hatch wrapped in the next couple days. And then 1 week from today, I will be at Horse Thief Mile at Willow Springs for Flavor Express event. If you guys are in the area, come on out to Willow Springs in Roseman, California. Say what's up. Hope to see you guys there. Let's pull this thing out, get the pressure washer fired up, and get this car clean.
Drift Week review. Where do I even start? It was one of the best times I've ever had. And I know I've said that a million times over, but really it was one of the best experiences ever. And that's because Aaron Losi, aka Lone Star Drift, the man behind Drift Week, he just did an incredible job at putting the whole event together. Seriously, I can't imagine the logistics it takes to actually organize something that big, but it was so cool and it really flowed super well. Most of the time he just showed up to the track, threw a helmet on, and started driving. If there was a driver's meeting, 90% of the time it was just through a little group chat that we had, and it was just in text, like, hey, don't do this, you can do this, that's it, have fun. It made for so much seat time, absolutely no downtime. I think all of our cars got teched at the very first event, and after that it was just like, well, your car's good, right? You didn't change anything? Cool, go ahead and drive and have fun. And then a huge shout out to the Valino guys as well. They were with us the entire trip. They had all of our tires in their trailer. They took care of mounting, dismounting, disposal, everything. Couldn't have been easier. You just showed up, said, hey, this is my name, these are my tires, can I get two and have them mounted? Yep, sure thing. Come back 20 minutes later and it was done. All of that made for the most seat time I've ever had in my entire life at so many different tracks. And I'll say it again, it was really just the best experience I've ever had. So big thanks to Aaron, Valino, and everybody else involved in Drift Week, those who made it possible. I had the best time ever. I'm so grateful for the opportunity I had to even make it happen. I wouldn't change it for the world. And if there's any question in your mind now, I would absolutely 100% do it over again.
Okay, so you heard my little review on Drift Week. Obviously, you know I thought it was amazing. Seriously, one of the coolest things I've ever done. But let's talk about what it actually took to make it happen. For starters, I'm gonna say Drift Week is not easy. And I did it in probably the easiest car you can do it in. Really, I didn't have to turn a wrench other than the little shifter thing that happened before the whole trip even started. Other than that, the Z really didn't need any work, so I got off easy there. But it's still a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings, a lot of driving. It ended up being a lot of sitting in traffic, so it definitely takes a toll on you. But it's nothing some caffeine and the excitement of a track day can't fix. It definitely helped being kind of prepared for that. I brought quite a few energy drinks and I brought a lot of snacks, which came in handy on those long drives, as well as some vitamin C and some electrolytes and things like that, just to try to stay healthy. If you watch the whole series, you know I got kind of sick towards the end, but even that, it didn't really slow me down because I was just having so much fun. As far as the financial side of it, that's definitely one of the hardest parts, at least for the average guy like me. So I don't know if I'm gonna get into specifics on exactly how much it costs down to the penny, but I will say my very first phone call with Aaron, he led off the phone call by saying, hey, most people normally spend about 10 grand on Drift Week. If I didn't lose you there, we can keep talking. I kind of nervously laughed and said, okay. So the whole thing starts off with paying the entry fee, just like you would for a normal track day, except this is for 6 or 7 or 8 track days. That's a few $1,000s. And then a month or two goes by and then you end up paying for tires. If you go through Valino, who was a sponsor of Drift Week, you get a great deal. They take care of mounting, balancing, and transporting them all, but you do have to pay for them all up front. Another couple $1,000s. And that's all a month or two before the trip even started. From there, start planning the trip and booking Airbnbs and hotels. Now there's some strategy that goes into it. This is where it helps to not do Drift Week alone. In the beginning, I had Bailey and Taka and Anami with me, so 4 people total. Splitting an Airbnb really makes it affordable. So we had an Airbnb in Arizona. It was a couple $100. From there, we came back home, so I actually got to stay in my own house for 2 days, which was super nice. Saved some money there. That was just lucky due to the route of Drift Week. If I was doing one in, northern states or something like that, where I don't live, then it would be totally different. But saved a little bit of money there. After that, we went up to Apple Valley and actually stayed at a friend's house. If you guys remember Joshy Soul, I shouted him out when we stayed at his house because I love that place and he's so nice to let us stay there. So having friends help as well. From there, it was a hotel in Riverside that was pretty cheap. And then it was an Airbnb in Pahrump that was also pretty affordable. The hotel was split, the Airbnb was split, and then from there it was a hotel in Vegas that was also split. And then an Airbnb in Utah. And again, that was split between me, Bailey, and my buddy Josh. So of course it does add up, right? We're talking 5, 6, 7 different places to stay for the course of almost 2 weeks. Of course, that's gonna add up to, I actually don't even know. Let's call it 1,000-ish, maybe a little bit more. Like I said, that would be a whole lot more if I didn't have friends that let me stay at their place, if I wasn't able to stay at my own place, and if I wasn't splitting it with anybody. So my advice there is if you're gonna do something like Drift Week, definitely have a group of friends to go with, or you could even form a group with drivers of Drift Week, right? There was people that were willing to just kind of jump in with other Drift Weekers and be in their Airbnb group, because it's really the most affordable way to do it. So those were the biggest ticket things, right? Entry to the actual event, tires, and then where we're gonna stay. After that, it was just gas. I saved like half my receipts and I kind of started to add it up and I lost the figure somewhere along the way. But we could do the math. So I drove 2,750 miles. The car averaged between 16 and 18 miles per gallon. Let's call it 18. And let's say fuel costs me an average of $4 a gallon. What is that? Let me do some math. If my math is correct, which is a toss-up if I'm being honest, it's somewhere in the $600-700 range, which really isn't bad. Now that I think about it, I honestly thought it was going to be a whole lot more. I would budget a little bit more. It helped that Bailey ended up towing my car back. Of course, we worked out a deal on that because that's still gas in his truck. So I guess I need to add that in there somewhere, but whatever. Either way, I would say safely under $1,000 for gas. So running total now, I don't know, 6, 7-ish, maybe. Really loose estimate there. Because I also didn't factor in food. And I am so thankful that Bailey, Taka, and Anami pitched in to get me on a careless meal plan because that saved me a ton. But having food at the track was a real game changer. But that doesn't cover you on travel days or after the track days or when you want a random snack at a gas station. So I would definitely set aside at least a few $100 for that, probably more depending on what your eating habits look like. I have a bad habit of just not eating, so that saves me a few bucks. But yeah, I think if you were on a super strict budget, I think there is a chance that you could do Drift Week for maybe $5 or $6 grand, depending on where it was at and how much gas costs and Airbnbs, because obviously there's areas that it's a lot more affordable, right? A lot of our trip was through California where the gas prices are the highest. Once we jumped into Arizona or Utah, Nevada, the gas was over $1 cheaper. So that would play a part in it as well. Same with Airbnbs, right? A lot of the California spots were the most expensive compared to other ones. But at the end of the day, I would say that's possible. It's also possible to spend a whole lot more money. I mean, you could have as much fun as you want if you wanted to get super baller Airbnbs and hotels, or maybe you had a car that needs race gas or something like that. I would not recommend that ever, but you know, maybe your car gets way worse gas mileage than mine. And the other thing I didn't even factor in was parts. Because like I said, I didn't need anything except an oil change and a $40 shifter I found on Marketplace. But there was guys swapping out diffs and, you know, breaking wheels. And I think someone blew a motor at some point. Like, stuff can add up really, really fast. And that's the scary part, right? You can set aside a budget of 5 or 7 or even 10 grand going in and think you're totally covered. And then you blow an engine 2 days in and like, there goes your whole budget. That's the scary part of it all. But it's absolutely worth it. Like I've said a million times over, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. So much fun, so much seat time, so many cool people, and I would absolutely do it all over again. Anyways, at this point, I think I'm just rambling. Whether you want to do a trip like Drift Week for yourself, or you're not even interested, I hope you learned something from this. And whether you want to do something like this or not, I definitely say there's something special about being able to hop in your race car, take a drive to a whole nother state, and do a track day over there. It's so much fun. You guys have seen me do that before Drift Week when I drove out to Utah. I'm actually going to do that again this year, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, that's going to be an end to this one. Like I said, I hope you guys got something out of it, or at least enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, and as always, I will catch you in the next one.